Oh my God, I'm back from New York. What the heck? Wendy, why did you go? How could you afford it? What's going on? I thought I'd have a little video diary of everything that's been going on lately. I've been in a really bad spot emotionally and mentally. I left for New York feeling so like hated and worthless and just so low because I was feeling that way. I get there, and on the way, I mean, flight attendants love me. The city welcomes me with open arms. I meet with people who don't hate me and don't treat me god awfully and um, celebrate me and smile when they see me. And I just was reminded of, like, oh, I'm like a human being and I should be treated like a person. So, um, how can I afford to go to New York? I somehow snagged tickets for super cheap. They're like 250 bucks. And that was like the main reason of like why I pulled the trigger to go, because it was so cheap and it was like during like a really good time. And I'm writing a book. I've gone in depth in my stories, but people who don't watch my stories, this is a great summary of my whole time there. So I'm writing a book, and I just knew that the city being so like artistically charged would be a great place to like center myself, focus on all the things that I've been neglecting on like the artist side of me. And I was like planning to go sit in a cafe and write my book. And I'm like, am I really gonna fly all the way to New York to sit in a cafe and write a book? You bet your tush I am. And I did. And it was so productive and it was so great. And then I met with some really awesome friends who were super cool about the theater. And then I had some actor friends, one specific actor friend who just reminded me that even though I felt like I wasn't an actor anymore, not because I didn't really do much acting, but because I was made to feel that like any contribution that I had to anything was absolutely wrong and worthless. And that just wasn't true. So I went, and my first day there, I went to Canal Street, got myself a purse, ate some lovely Chinese food, got some lovely steamed buns and baked buns, and I love Dunkin' Donuts coffee, so of course I got Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And it was such an amazing experience. Oh my gosh, and you guys I have to tell you about the musical Here Lies Love. And it's about the life, the rise and fall of power of Imelda Marcos in the Philippines. And it's an entire Filipino cast. And it was set up like a nightclub, and there was standing room on the floor as if you were like in a club, and the stage moved, and it was performed as if it was a concert, even though it was like following her through her life, through the people that she dated, who she married, how she rose to power, and then the Filipino people rising up against and saying, hey, we're starving and like drowning here. And she's like, I want to party. And it was so good. But I didn't even think that I could go see the show. It just didn't occur to me. And then my friend Elena, who was there, who used to work at my old job too, she was like, I have a friend who works at the show. We should try for rush tickets. I'm like, oh my God, let's do it. And I learned from Salt Lake Acting Company on their Instagram that Rianne, who I had the pleasure of working with in Egress a year or so ago, was in the show. And she came out for stage door, and I wanted to meet her, but she had like some friends visiting, and so she went inside, and I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. That's fine. She didn't know I was there, so like, how could she have known? But then we were like hanging around, and then my friend Elena met up with her friend, and we got to chatting, and she like works in costumes, and she's like so passionate about fashion and design, and she's like living her dream, and it was just an amazing conversation to have. But then Rianne came back out with her friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go say hi, even though, because the bouncer said like, or the security guard was like, oh, everyone's went home, like these people are like the last people to come, there's no one else coming out. I'm like, I know she's in there, but that's okay, I don't want to like press, I don't want to. And she came back out. I'm like, oh my gosh, Now's my chance. And then I run over and I'm like, Rianne? And I'm like, I don't know if you remember me. And of course, she was so warm. She was so inviting. She gave me a hug. I gushed and gushed. I don't know if I made any sense at all, but it was incredible to see her on a Broadway stage. Oh my God, she made it. She was so beautiful. She had just so talented. I was like speechless with her talent and the whole story, the entertaining part of it, but then also the history part of it, and how I wanted to go home and like look up more about the show. And throughout the show, they played real life footage of the events that happened because they were alive in like the 80s, you know, when they made videos and stuff. And it was crazy. But Rianne was so nice. She took a picture with me, of course. She was so generous. And I'm sure I was just like a gushing, inarticulate mess, but she was so nice and it was so much fun. And so I've been on quite the journey. I am realizing that I can't not have any theater or art in my life, and it's very soul crushing. And I have some interviews and like callbacks lined up, so I have some options, which is really cool. But now I get to focus on the things that are still stressful but make me happy, and I'm on the journey of seeing how I can fund my life and try to make some money. So the cafe that I wrote the majority of the time was called Fiction in Brooklyn, and on Sunday morning they had this live jazz band.
This is peppers and beans, right?
Egg, pepper, red onion, black bean, egg, cheese.
Yes. I don't know.
It was like magic. When I first stepped in, they were playing jazz over the speakers, and people were in there writing. Just a real casual, cozy ambiance. And it was just beautiful. It was like I stepped into a movie set. It was like the music was there, the setting was perfect, and it was such an amazing place for creative juices to like flow, because I felt like I was kind of like blocked. Like writer's block is so real, but it felt like ideas and the motion of my book was like moving forward. And if anyone's interested, my book is If Crazy Rich Asians Met the Bodyguard. Like, there's a gal who is a little older. A lot of romance books have like really young female main characters, and I'm like, I don't know about that. I think I want her a little older. So she's a woman, a little lost in her life, not unlike me. And she comes from a very wealthy, established family that is like the mob, like a Vietnamese kind of mob. They kind of run their part of town, but she doesn't want any part of it. And she's trying to live on her own. She's trying to get out of that lifestyle and like make it on her own. Right now, she's like working retail at the Strand, which is a bookstore that I love. But she's attacked by like a rival Vietnamese family, and the bodyguard that is sent to protect her is pretty toasty. He's a very it's so funny. So when I was imagining the character, I was trying to make up some fake person, and I just wasn't getting anywhere with the story. I'm like, it's not clear in my mind who he is, what his motivations are, what kind of a well-rounded character is this person gonna be if I can't even imagine a person. And then I was like, what if it was Oscar Isaac? And ding! Suddenly I saw from the beginning to the end of the story, and it was like, so the character is based off, the character just looks like Oscar Isaac. Just a little different, but I was like, oh, that sometimes inspiration is so simple. So there's that. They get thrown together. You need to figure out why, and it's very prevalent very early on why she wants to like get out of her family's like whole business and their whole thing that they've got going on. She's not about that life. And my first novella was very short. It was like cut short because I was getting married at the time. I was starting my job at the time. And now I really want to focus on writing a full-length novel. So it's taking a lot more work, of course. I'm hoping to have it done by Christmas because the book starts off in winter in New York. So I took a lot of inspiration while I was there. And yeah, it was a really, really, really productive session. And I'm in a good spot, even though I came from a very sad place. I'm better. I think I wasn't making my happiness a priority. I was just thinking I should just be making money. I should just hustle, da 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 da. And I wasn't very happy in my work. Even though I have some other really great things going on, I have really great friends. My husband's my favorite person, and he's been unyieldingly supportive of every single thing I've ever done. So things are going well in that regard, but in the parts that it wasn't, it was really, really bad. So I'm back though. Hopefully I'm going to crawl and beg my way back into like the theater and film community and hope that they'll accept me back. I have a newfound love for auditioning because I really think I took them for granted because I was just doing them so often and I was like getting so jaded by it. But now I'm like, I am thankful for every audition because every audition is not what I was doing before and it's so much better. So thank you for watching. That was a long story, why I was doing what I was doing and what I got from it. But thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.